What's going on? Welcome back to another live episode of Post Podium Conversations. I want to try not to wear my voice out too much. Um, this cold weather getting around to everybody. So got to make sure you protect your vocal cords if you're out there doing what we do. Listen, I wanna express my appreciation to everybody that is tuning in now live, tuning in days from now, weeks from now. I try to do my best to, give you as much good content as I possibly can. And here we have another press conference from Joe Brady. It's going to be interesting to hear what he has to say about the game. And of course, with the post podium twist on it. And hopefully we can get to some truths about what's really going on. I think the game Sunday is kind of a microcosm of how the season is gone, where you have these great moments and you have these other aspects of those same great moments where you kind of peel some of the layers back. It's you start to ask some questions and really start to wonder, is it really as good as we think it is? In a similar fashion to how the Chiefs were winning when they were, doing what they were doing last year, winning a bunch of one-score games. We kind of wondered, are they for real? Can they really do it? And as much as we know that Josh Allen is that guy, one guy can't get it done in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And I think we've seen that. So, what up, roll up? Let's get this going here. Let's get this going up here. I need this behind me there. All right, so we setting up now. And bam. Okay. All right, I think we ready to roll now. Who do I have watching with us right now? I know I got roll up. Who else is in here? Let me know who you are in the chat so I can say what's up. But first thing we're going to do now is, first thing we're going to do now is we're going to get to this press conference. It's about 16 minutes long, but there is going to be some stop and start because I'm going to have some assessments to certain things and try to give as much insight as I can. So let's get started. First of all, kill the music. All right. That's the end of that. Here we go.
Specific a lot of times, but the running back's involvement in the passing game yesterday, do you feel like you guys as an offense maybe found just another solution, just depending on how you guys, I know it's something you used in the past, but I mean, especially the last couple of games, this one in particular, their involvement was pretty noticeable.
Yeah, no, it was it was extremely impactful when you scored 2 touchdowns through the air with your running backs. It's something that we obviously look into every week, and when you make a defense have to defend all 11 people, I know offensive line, but all your eligibles, if they have to defend them on any individual play. And, we felt like there were some matchups to our advantage yesterday. And, Josh did an incredible job. The receivers did a great job blocking on the perimeter on the tie touchdown. But, that's important for us. If you only have to defend receivers or tight ends in the pass game, it makes you more predictable. And, something that we got to continue to grow on.
What did you make of Tyrell Shaver's game this year?
Shaves. It's who Shaves kind of is. It was a interesting end to the week, and he made the most of all his opportunities yesterday. We talk all the time about when people talk about like everybody eats mindset. I've always said it's never about the production. It's about just doing your job, and good things come your way. And that's Tyrell Shavers. Does a lot of the dirty work in the run game. Might not get all the opportunities in the pass game, but he had opportunities yesterday and he made the most of it. And, some of those plays he found out he was running, a day or two before, and doesn't blink, put extra stuff on his plate. And that's kind of who he is. That's his character. And, we're so grateful to him, what he means to our offense. And I was so excited to see him score a touchdown yesterday.
The opportunity, the production followed. When that happens, does that lead to potentially more?
Yeah, I think anytime, look, all we ever ask for our guys is to do their job and be where they're supposed to be when they need to be there. As a receiver, right? Everybody always talks about, traits and speed and everything like that. But there's so much power in the quarterback knowing you're going to be where you need to be when he hits that back foot or he hits that hitch and he comes back. Are you at 12 yards? Are you at 10 yards? Are you where you need to be? And
but only as long as you're playing the type of scheme that we played this past Sunday, because that's really what it comes down to. Shavers can be a weapon if playing in a scheme just like Keon. They need to be put in position to be successful. I really didn't want to get dragged back into this conversation, but it kind of folds over into each other. The correlation between Keon and Shavers is both guys are capable of doing great things, and nobody really believes in either guy. I've been a Shavers guy since I found out how tall he was and how fast he was and saw that he had great hands. For Keon, he's tall and he's physical, and we've seen him make physical type plays, whereas Shavers is kind of more of a 6'4", 215, 220 pound finesse type of receiver with speed. Keon he's more, bully ball above the rim type of player. And I think there are things that you can do with both skill sets schematically against any coverage. You know what I mean? And here's the other part of this that's also kind of frustrating. We've been talking so much stuff about how these receivers can't beat one-on-one coverage, yet we've heard Josh talk about, we've heard Joe Brady talk about, most of these teams are playing a bunch of zone on us. So if I have this correct in my brain, usually when you're playing against zone, the idea of beating zone is to find an open spot to sit down within the scheme of within the design of the play that's called, right? Of course, against man, Keon is not going to be that type of guy, but you can dictate in certain ways and kind of force a defense to stop playing man, but you've got to make sure that you're hitting consistently on your man beaters in a way that hurts the defense enough to cause them to get out of it. In the same way that we did on Sunday, we caused the defense to stop blitzing mostly in the second half because of the success of the pass downfield and because of what Josh was doing. Whenever they blitzed, he would make a play, make something happen, get the ball down the field, and eventually it became, all right, we got to stop this. But the idea of what Keon is dealing with is actually just a stone's throw from what could be happening with Shavers if Shavers is looked at in a different light. See, right now we look at Shavers like this practice squad guy that should just be thankful to be there. Well, what happens if he puts up 100 yards in this game? What happens if he puts up another 4 yards, 90 catches, and a touchdown? What happens if he does it 2 weeks in a row? The expectation is going to build, it's going to develop. For Keon, it started off that way because he was a second round pick, our quasi first round pick that they traded out of. So I'm saying all this to say that this idea that as a fan, our expectations need to matter more than anything, any other context, any other, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we get so caught up in, this guy's a second round pick, he needs to be out on that field. This guy's a 7th round pick, he doesn't need to be out on the field. This guy is only thought of as a practice squad guy. We don't need to be trying to get him involved in the game plan, even though Shavers has shown every time he's gotten the ball. Last season, every time he got the ball, he scored a touchdown. This season, I think it's his 6th or 7th catch. What are Shavers' stats? Let me pull these up real quick. Okay. Let me see. All right. So Shavers has 11 catches this season. 11 catches and 1 touchdown. 11 catches, 17 targets, 172 yards. Average yardage of 15.6 yards per catch. He's a downfield guy. And 1 touchdown, right? The most targets he's had was against Tampa Bay this past Sunday. The most he had before that was against the Atlanta Falcons. He had 5 targets in that game, caught 3 balls, 27 yards. And New England game, he had a target, didn't make the catch. The Miami game before that on Thursday night, he had two targets, 2 catches, 24 yards. I mean, his catch percentage. Matter of fact, let me pull that up too, because that matters. His catch percentage, his success rate. So his catch percentage for, I guess all the games aren't up yet. So his success rate right now is 64.7%. 64.7%. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. His catch percentage is 64.7. You want that to be a little bit higher. Of course, you know, we know there was some schematic reasons for why that is, but you look at the games that he's played in where he's had, you know, a significant amount of targets, and by significant I mean at least one, because really the game that's bringing down the averages right now is the Atlanta game where he had 5 targets and 3 catches. Other than that, against Miami, 100% catch rate. Against Kansas City, 100% catch rate. Against Miami, 100% catch rate. That was a 24-yard pass he caught in that game. And then yesterday, of course, 80% catch rate. He only did not catch 1 ball. I mean, the hands are reliable. Is basically my point. So this is a guy that's been showing it to you now, and I don't want to hear any more justification on, well, you know, if we give him a bigger role, then, you know, who's going to fill in on special teams? Man, figure that out. Figure it out. You got people that can help you figure that out. What's going on, Laura? Just do something, because once you put Shavers in a position to get the targets and get the attention, I think we'll start to see the hypocrisy of the way that we've been talking about Keon, because now there's going to be an expectation upon Shavers. Hey, big dog, we counting on you now. Like, we giving you the keys, so you better drive the car the right way. You better make these catches. You better, you know, be accountable. You better be reliable, right? We've been looking at Keon like that from the start. Why? Because Brandon Beane came out and said, well, he's going to be our X receiver. What do you do after that? What do you do after that? I mean, Sean even tried to come out and say, well, you know, every job's got to be earned. Do we really think it was earned? Like, excuse me, do we really think that Keon's position that he's been put in has been earned? I think they've been approaching this like they had to use him. Think about how creative we are with things that we want to do. If we're trying to solve a problem for ourselves or for our business or for our home or lifestyle or whatever, any solution that you come up with, you're going to come up with multiples, because you have a desire to figure it out. You have a desire to maximize whatever the opportunity is to achieve what you want to achieve. So how is it that with Keon, there's such a lack of creativity, a lack of, well, maybe he can do this, maybe he can do that, or maybe we can scheme him up this way, maybe we can get him a free release that way. Even though Shakir is our slot receiver, maybe we can have, I don't know, this is an idea, 2 slot receivers. I said at the beginning of the season, you could probably go 4 wide most of the time with the receivers that we have and have the same kind of success that we saw in the game this past Sunday with the right scheme and route combinations. Now, I'll stop there because we got a lot of press conference to get to, and I don't want to take up the entire time. But that's why the Keon situation bothers me so much. There's a lot of hypocrisy based on people's interpretation of expectation, which never really came from the team in the first place. It came from the misplaced words and ideas of a GM that has not shown himself outside of drafting James Cook and Josh Allen to be capable of doing his job at a high level. I'm sorry. It is what it is. X says Josh isn't throwing Keon phase. That was that was the most annoying of it all. All I need is Shavers to have good deep in cuts, pull away on 9. Yeah. Listen. A lot of people don't know this, but Tyrell Shavers 6'4". What is he? 6'4". 6'4", 211. So he's like AJ Green. He's a tall, slim dude, but he ran a 4.38. Like, he's got speed, and he's 26. He's 26 years old. You would be wasting talent to not try and get this dude involved to see, hey, maybe he can, can he develop into the number one that we've needed this whole entire time? He's got the speed to do it. We've seen him run good routes. I mean, hell, that the Miami game where Josh threw that interception, that was Shavers coming open over the back of the end zone. He shook the corner off of him. So we know this guy can do it. Is he going to be allowed to do it in this everybody eats scheme? Yeah, bro. Yeah. Can you imagine having Shavers and Keon together on the field like the Bengals? Listen, if we had Zach Taylor, there would be a way. If we had Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, there would be a way. If we had Sean McVay, there would be a way. This is why the fully formed offensive coordinators have all the juice right now, because they can take a guy like Deebo Samuel, who in a traditional offense wouldn't really be considered a number one wide receiver, and turn him into a weapon like the 49ers did. That's the value of a fully formed, accomplished offensive mind. Sean has yet to provide one outside of Brian Daboll. I can speculate as to why, based on the Tyler Dunn report and other stuff I've heard about Sean. But at the end of the day, we unless Sean comes out and says exactly why, we don't honestly know. But it's got to happen. It's got to happen, whether that's replacing him with an offensive mind, somebody that knows how to use these weapons and these players that we have, somebody that's willing to go get a defensive coordinator that is confident enough in himself to understand when his scheme is not working and make some changes and adaptations to it so that it can. Yeah, bro, 1-800 ain't being used right. Yeah. Excuse me. That's exactly what that is. But let's get back to this presser.
Shaves is consistently there, and it speaks to who he is, and that's really what he's been doing since he's been here, and just continuing to get better and learn the system and learn all the different roles and not blink. And I was again, he was our player of the game yesterday. He was such a critical element to our success yesterday, and I couldn't be happier for him.
All the changes going on from your perspective, what happened with Keon and being out of the game? What has your conversations been like with him, and like your message to him going forward?
Yeah, I think you guys probably know me by now, that I usually I usually take all the accountability whenever something goes bad, and I try to keep everything in house from my perspective. I think a lot of things with regards to Keon has kind of already been addressed, and it's the conversations with him is about, hey, where do we go from here? How do we continue to find ways to get better and be where we need to be when we need to be there? And I still have all the faith in Keon that he's going to help us this year and get us to where we ultimately need to get to. And but I was so impressed by the character of the receiver room that, hey, when things did change, that no one blinked. There's a lot of changing on the call sheet. Friday and Saturday wasn't the most fun for me, but when you got the type of guys that we have, it allows the they were able to adapt, and no one blinked, so I wasn't going to blink. And so obviously a situation that we don't want to happen, it happened, and now let's find a way to just move forward with it.
How much did you have to change things like from like a
We do tag a lot of plays. We have a lot of personnel groupings and a lot of different people on any particular play, and I think it's always important for guys to know their exact plays and go into the game. And you gotta look if you gotta know everybody else's roles too, because injuries happen. You got to be able to adjust. But
so that sticks out to me. That sticks out to me, and it kind of bothers me because here you have an offensive system where Keon goes out and based on Joe Brady's look on his face, it had to be a significant amount, especially with the amount of snaps that Keon plays, which I believe is third most on the team. Actually, it might be second most. I think him and Shakir. Let me take a look at this. Let me see. What is Keon Coleman's snap share? So Keon has not been below 51% of the snaps all season long. Week 1 was 88%. Week 2 was 51%. Week 3 was 75%. 73 for week 4. 62 for week 5. 86 for week 6. 73 for week 8. 68 for week 9. 62 for week 10. And then obviously he sat out this past week. So this is a guy that plays majority of the snaps. In fact, if we're he plays the most snaps of any wide receiver on the team right now. Shakir is a close second at so Keon played a total of 425 snaps. Shakir played 392. Next closest receiver after that, Tyrell Shavers with 223. Where's Dalton Kincaid? Y'all gonna love this. So the best guy on the team at beating man coverage and getting open all like that, Dalton Kincaid, 226 snaps to Keon Coleman's 425 to Shakir's 392. Kind of seems like we should be using the guys that they're putting on the field the most. But back to what Brady was saying, the reason that doesn't happen is because there are specific plays designated to specific players so that everybody has a role on the team. At this point, just make it look like it looked on Sunday, and I'll shut up. you know what I mean? For me, that's the most peaceful place that I can land, because otherwise none of this makes sense at all. None of this makes sense at all. You put these players in a position where the roles facilitate a sense of inclusion and belonging, and nobody's irrelevant and everybody eats, right? And that's fine. But in games, your game script and the way that your head coach likes to play football, the stars of the game are going to be your offensive line and your defense, and maybe James Cook. That's it. Like, think about all those games we watched earlier this season. Josh was only the star of one of them. One, and that was week 1. Matthew Stafford is the Rams. There's nobody on that team bigger than Matthew Stafford. The Ravens, there's nobody on that team bigger than Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes, there's nobody on the Chiefs bigger than Pat Mahomes. Not even in Travis Kelce's heyday was he bigger than Pat Mahomes. Tyreek Hill, not ever was he bigger than Pat Mahomes. They proved that by letting him go. And yet, our run game this season has been bigger and more prevalent than our quarterback. No other head coach would allow that to this degree. I thought it was egregious in Lamar Jackson's first few years of his career how they were making him a running quarterback with everything he did at Louisville. Like, you're doing it wrong. And then what did they do? They got a fully fledged, accomplished offensive mind in there. Then what happened? AFC Championship game first year. Second year, quite possibly the best year of Lamar Jackson's career passing. He looked like he looked in Louisville. Offensive coordinator figured it out. Not only that, they went and got the pieces. Something to be said about people just seeing the obvious and doing the obvious. Ladies and gentlemen, if it works and you're dominant with it, just do that and build around that. The idea of entering into a season and seeing what you have is to understand what for sure you can beat teams with, and then what else you're close to developing that will be good enough to be effective week in and week out. Because the name of the game is consistency. But for some reason, Sean McDermott has it in his mind that we're going to continue to try to do what everybody else is the least capable of doing because it suits the way he wants to play football. But I digress. Again, let's get to some comments here. Roll-Up says, listen, I like Keon, but we can't act like none of this is his fault. He might not get used right, but I'm pretty sure he's culpable in this as well. I also blame Josh for throwing them bad balls. I feel you. Bro, believe me when I feel you. I understand. I get it. And I'm with you. Because one of the things that I did say in the podcast yesterday was, wait, what's today? Wednesday? Monday. One of the things I said in the podcast Monday was it's possible that Keon may not have the connection to teammates where people feel comfortable overriding his decisions that they see may cause him to be in a position to be late to a meeting or to miss a meeting or whatever, right? That's on him if that's the case. I did have a chance to talk to Coach D a little bit about this particular issue, and he said, you know, for the most part, players do speak up, they do say something, but they're not gonna, you know, unless they are a prominent, you know, personality or just you know, just one of those guys that has the ability to speak to people on that level, like a Ray Lewis, like a, you know what I mean, like those type of guys where when they get to talking, people just shut up and listen, right? But we don't have any of those guys. It's not that it's not welcome, but it's not there. There's no space for it on this team because the leadership has to be Terrell Bernard, Josh Allen, and Sean McDermott. So there's really no space for it. So you do leave the door open for stuff like that. So I'm with you. I'm not saying it's not his fault at all. The only thing I'm saying is the criticism about his production and calling him a trash receiver, that's not on him. Like, the other stuff, the being late to meetings and everything else, the off the field stuff, that is all on Keon because he's an adult, right? And he should know better. However, if he had this issue in college, how in the world did he make it here? Whose job was that? Like, go look it up. Like, if he had the same issues in college, who looked at that 6'3", 212 and was like, that's the guy we need. That's it. We feel confident to give up Xavier Worthy because this is going to be the dude. I don't get it. John, what's going on? Says, not for nothing. Isn't that every offense in the league? What part? Scheming guys open. If we keep scoring points without Keon, I can't hear him. Keon Moss, he ain't that. What if he is though? What if he is? Okay. Who's a good example of this? Okay. I'll give you a prime example. For those of you that are old enough to remember this, how was Wes Welker with Miami? Was he really thought to be like that dude? Because if my memory serves me correctly, he wasn't. It wasn't until he got around Brady and started running them whip routes and doing everything that he was doing in New England that people really started to respect his name and respect him as the absolute best slot receiver in the NFL, maybe NFL history, until Julian Edelman came along. And Julian Edelman was a carbon copy of Wes Welker. So that's a prime example of when you take a receiver from another team and you put him in a position that suits his skill set to the utmost, extent, and he becomes something way more than anybody thought he could possibly be. I think that's possible. Right. Roll up. That's exactly what I'm saying. He said the only thing Welker did in Miami was make a field goal. That's my point. So if Keon leaves here and goes somewhere else, and we end up looking at Keon like, well, he ain't do nothing here. How is he scoring, 14 points a game with I don't know, the Panthers? Right? We're gonna look at ourselves and really, really start to wonder, like, we chose Gabe Davis over that. We already talked the same way about draft picks. Like other draft picks, like guys we could have had, like people still harp about, well, you went through the whole Stephon Diggs thing when you could have had Justin Jefferson. Yeah, there's a lot of instances like that, right? Like, the name of the game, though, is making sure that you're sure about what you have. I think that's really what it comes down to. You have to make sure that you're sure about what you have, which means you have to do some experiments with it. You got to test certain things out. You got to, and I'm not saying that they haven't tried some of that stuff in the offseason, but man, knowing what we know about what Keon was in college, we haven't seen him being put in the position to do any of that stuff here in the NFL. That's what leads me to believe that they aren't really trying to do the best they can with him. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Coleman was a healthy scratched him around. I know they did already say Dalton Kincaid is out. It's two other players. Hold on, let me see if I can get to it. Here we go. Where is it? Bengals. All right, so Dalton Kincaid, Curtis Samuel and Mecole Hardman. They're ruled out for tomorrow's game. Maybe, but they're probably going to need them. Especially with what they want to. So the other part of this too is they're going to need to run the ball. They're going to need to run the ball, and if that's the case, you're probably going to see a lot of Shavers and Coleman on the field, so that they can get those corners blocked up. So, Shavers is on the Alabama team with Waddle, Judy, Ruggs, and Devontae Smith. So he's seen greatness, man. He's seen what it looks like. Shavers said in his interview with Kay Adams that he's the big bro to Keon's little bro, but he can't always be his brother's keeper. Okay. Now, here's not that Keon is this way, but most young folks in general, and we all know this, we all been there. Most young folks, if you got an old head coming to you, and Keon's 20, right? So 26 is not that much older, but the point is, if you got an old head coming to you, trying to give you some advice, trying to, you know, guide you and give you pointers and stuff like that. If he's not regarded as the best 33, okay. 22. Oh, 22. Okay. Okay. All right. We got some young folk around this joint. I'm pushing the big 4-1 right now. So most young folk, if they got, you know, they got an old head coming to them trying to, you know, try to kick game to them, whatever, and you know, tell them how it is. Oh, he's 22. Okay. 22? You sure about that? He been here. This is second year. I thought we got him when he was young. Oh, he is 22. Okay. I thought we got him when he was 20. Who was I thinking about? My bad. But my point is, unless the person coming to you and trying to give you advice is of a certain status, it's hard to just take that knowing like you ain't even the best in your field and you want to give me advice. Keon might think he better than Shavers in some aspects. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to try and, you know, paint Keon in a certain way or nothing like that. I'm positing different context into the situation to try and make sense of all of this, right? Because Shavers is admitting that he's you know, he's big bro. Okay. That I don't know if you want to admit to that, which is why he then goes on to say, but he can't always be his brother's keeper. Yeah, you say that because you don't want to really be responsible when stuff like this happens. So I don't know, man. This Keon deal is I think it just needs to go away, to be perfectly honest. Let's just let him play ball and see what happens at the end of the season and stop asking for this man to get cut because you haven't seen what he can do. You haven't seen anything at all of what he can really do. Steve says another James Hardy. Yeah, you were definitely a day one hater. Look, the only reason I'm not hating is because I know he's not being like, if he was being used the way he was being used in college and then he still sucked, okay, fine. But my objective mind won't allow me to dislike him simply because he can't beat man coverage. There's a lot of receivers in the NFL that are very successful that can't beat man coverage. Deebo Samuel gets a lot of catches, can't beat man coverage one-on-one. So I don't want to pretend like, you know, his position now is just, you know, empirical. Like that's just what it is. I can't do that. I can't do that. What else we got? I know you was just paraphrasing, Nate. I got you. Sal says, why don't you just admit Keon is a knucklehead? Because I don't believe in labeling people like that. I just don't believe in it. Like, I get on Sean because it took me 5 years of watching what he did and all the research that me and Key started doing before we started the show. Like, I really started to find out, like, this dude ain't nothing like what he said he was when he first came here in his press conference. Like, I truly believed in the man. So when I reach a conclusion on something, I've exhausted all other benefits of the doubt. And I think that's a lost art in today's day and age, especially with fans. We'd be so quick to, well, if you ain't putting up 100 yards and 2 touchdowns a game, you suck. Get out of my house. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Larry Fitzgerald and TJ Husmanzada are the same speed as Keon. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yep. Larry Fitzgerald was too slow. Worked out fine. Why? Because they put him in a position to be successful. That's what it is. That's what it is. I can't convince people to not like him, but my hope is that we start to develop some patience, with the people that we're supposed to be patient with, and lose patience with the people that we're supposed to lose patience with. Because the other part of this, and we're probably not going to have enough time to finish this thing. We might as well just keep having a conversation. But the other side of this is, while we're sitting here barking about Keon Coleman and having a conversation about Keon Coleman, nobody's talking about the 32 points that our defense just gave up to Sean Tucker. Because Emeka Ibuka didn't go off, Tez Johnson didn't go off, Cade Otton didn't go off, Baker didn't really go off. Like, one guy, 7th round pick, one guy blasted us twice. So I think the idea here is we need to realize how easy it is to get caught up and swept up in propaganda, right? For those of you that were, day one haters of Keon, I'm probably not talking to you. But everything that's happening now as a result of him being late to a meeting, everything after that, you have to see that as propaganda. There is a reason that stuff continues to circulate for as long as it does in media circles, and that's because the team allows it. Matter of fact, you know what I want to pull up? Let me see if I can find Ernest Johnson real quick. I really would love to be able to show you guys Ernest Johnson talking about his quarterback. Where is it? This is weird. It's like they don't want you to see Ernest Jones. Man. Here we go. Press conferences. Here we go. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get this one here. Let's cut that out. I really think this is important that y'all hear this, because this is what it should sound like when a player is really, standing up and cutting the BS short, right? Let me see if I can get to that spot.
Connection between offense and defense on one side struggling.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, regardless of what side is struggling, we've all struggled at some point during the game, and the other side's lifted us up. So that's all I was doing, is trying to do my best to keep the guys motivated, regardless of what's going on. Still a lot of ball left. Let's keep going.
They were able to hit on a few big runs early. Second half, you guys bottled them up pretty good.
Yeah.
What adjustments did you guys make there in terms of how you
We
guys
just fit it right. Those, 2 or 3 runs, we didn't fit it right. 1, 2 of them, I'll say all 3 of them, I put on myself. Any runs come through the middle of the field, those are mine, and I wasn't where I needed to be, so that's how they get 60-some yards, 6 carries.
Stafford has been playing arguably as well as he ever had in his career over the past month or so. What were you guys able to do to break up his rhythm and make things hard on him?
I think we were able to get some pressure, get a little pressure on him when he was, moving on his throws. He didn't have all day to, move and get those throws out. I think the game plan we had coming into the game was pretty tight, pretty good one. I think we didn't execute early enough and had us in every game. So
Here it is.
I mean, Sam's been balling, like, they're good.
All right, watch this.
What do you say to the quarterback?
I mean, Sam's been balling. Like, if we want to try to define Sam by this game or what, man, Sam's had us in every game. So for him to sit there and say, "Oh, that's my fault," no, it's not. There was plays that defensively we could have made plays. There were opportunities where we could have got better stops. Yeah, I mean, like, it's football, man. And he's our quarterback. We got his back, and we got anything to say, quite frankly.
Bam. Straight like that. Straight like that. You heard him say it. Frankly, you got anything to say? F you. That's what he said, flat out. They bleeped it, but they didn't bleep it on YouTube. You can go and watch that on YouTube. That's how you squash beef. That's how you shut it down. Exactly. Josh didn't speak up. Exactly. Thank you. That's the point. You really want to, if the team really wanted this to be gone, they could make it gone. And they not doing that. They letting y'all talk about this dude and y'all keep doing it. Why? Because the next person keep doing it. And then the person after that hear y'all doing it and they come in. Yeah, you know what? I thought about it. Keon does suck. You know, I don't want him on the team. He need to go. Like, that is, at this point, it's simply a point of relation for everybody. It's simply something that we can all agree on that all makes us feel included in the hot trailblazing news that's going on around circles right now. That's really all it is. Thank you. If Josh wanted Keon out there, he'd be out there. Josh isn't feeling him. Listen, I get that. I get that. But if that's the case, Josh would have got that a long time ago. It wouldn't have taken. Yeah, that's a good point too. It wouldn't have taken this long if Josh really, truly was just like, nah, he ain't it. First and foremost, Josh not going to say that anyway, because Josh is just not that kind of dude. He's not going to go to coach and say, hey, this man ain't it. He going to try to find a way to hold himself accountable and make it work, which is what a quarterback is supposed to do, right? I don't think he lost the respect of his teammates. I don't think he lost the respect of his teammates. I really don't. Knowing Keon and knowing some of those other guys in there's guys that are standing with him, that are calling him and checking up on him right now to make sure he good going through all of this. And here's the other part: Keon ain't listening to all of this. Like, ain't none of this affecting Keon, because Keon know who Keon is. So as much as y'all want it to be true, so this is the other part. To some degree, those of you that are sitting there saying we want Keon gone, I heard some people calling into the WGR this morning talking about, Keon didn't seem remorseful for his punishment. He was on the sideline dancing and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about this on the show on Monday. You want him to sit there and cry? I know you do, but here's the problem. Y'all want to see that from him because y'all feel like y'all deserve. And I'm not saying like y'all that's in here right now, but for the people that are calling the radio shows and all that kind of stuff, for those of you that like just for certain want him gone, like y'all want to see the remorse and stuff like that because y'all feel y'all deserve that as a fan. First and foremost, if we're gonna keep it a buck, let's keep it all the way a buck. If that was the case, if you really out here to try and get what you deserve, you wouldn't be paying 80% of the taxes for this new stadium. But y'all let that go, didn't y'all? Y'all let that one all the way go. Y'all was happy Kathy Hochul got the deal done. That's probably going to keep her in office another 10, 20 years. You feel me? Let's stop acting like the right now perspective is the only perspective. Let's be objective right now. Please. Y'all going off on Keon like it's y'all job right now. And thank you. A sense of entitlement. That's exactly what it is. Bills fans have that more than any other fan I've seen. And I drive Uber, I drive Lyft. I've talked to a bunch of fans from other teams. Matter of fact, Chiefs fans are some of the nicest fans I've ever talked to in my life. Some of the nicest fans, like they always have such great stuff to say about us. Always. And of course, Patriots fans are the absolute worst. But my point in bringing that part up is Bills fans, more than any other fan that I've witnessed, have this way about them where it's our team. They're here for us. You know, we got them through the drought and all that stuff. Where's that fire when you know you want a dome and they tell you we'll put an awning over it? You know you want a dome. You know you do. Where's that fire when the team listen, the second 13 seconds happened, where were you? Where were you? Sal, where were you when 13 seconds happened? Because you in here just you stomping your feet, you taking such a hard stance, like nothing's ever gonna change your mind. I'm not demanding you change your mind, but I don't think we should ever have such a hard stance that we can't hear the other side. But were you so at the time, Sal, were you like making as much noise then as you are about Keon now? Laura says, I like Keon. I want him to succeed. None of us know the scope of the issue, and that's why I can't judge players' reactions to it. And we bystanders are definitely just guessing. Mo says, 13 seconds, Keon was in college. Now it's Keon's fault. Yeah. But this point from Laura is exactly why I'm just like, yo, just ease up, just slow down. We're not even at the end of the road right now. He's still got 2 more years left on his deal. We don't know what he could be. We don't know what he can be. Sweat says, fans are too busy drinking the trust the process juice and getting tricked into being wild drafts and ridiculously bad trades. Yeah. I thought it was amazing looking around the city and seeing how many people were so happy that we signed Von Miller. People in Dallas is probably laughing at us like, you signed him to what? Ain't no way Jerry Jones giving him 6 years and $100 million. Ain't no way. Von was like, listen, I was on my way to Dallas and they called me up talking some 6 years, $100 million. I spun the block. I turned that bad boy right around. But we don't talk about that. We talk about it late after the fact, after like years into his contract, not right when it happened, which is when me and Keys was talking about it. Steve says Keon needs to learn from Gabe and Groot on how to be a disappointment who goes to meetings on time and how to get fans to be something talent can't fulfill. Trust the process. Steve, you a trip, bro. Lindsay says, yeah, 100%. They drinking that juice out of a bowling ball. Yeah. All right. This turned into a vent session about Keon way too quickly. But I do got to get out of here. Let's if y'all got any more questions before I jump out of here, please get them in right now so we can get that settled. Let's get some music going here. It's another episode of Post Podium Conversations. Hopefully we have come a little bit further in our thinking process than we did the day before or even minutes before this show started today. That's always the goal of every single show that we do here on this channel. We love to be, critical thinkers, not wishful thinkers. Critical thinking is the best way to make sure that the ship is going the right way. That's it. Can we get Josh a real wide receiver in the first 3 rounds before he retires? Not while Bean and Sean are here, unfortunately. That I am certain of. I do not think they want the conflict that comes with that. You can't have everybody eats but have a number 1 receiver at the same time. Unfortunately. All right. With that being said, thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. Listen, here's what I need. I need y'all to do this, please. Just this is for me. This is for me. If y'all want a free way to support the channel that does big things for us, we got 37 people watching right now. Can I get 37 thumbs? That's all I need. You ain't gotta subscribe. You ain't gotta hit that bell, make that thing ring a lang a lang. You ain't gotta do none of that. I just need thumbs, right? So, no Coach D's Corner tomorrow. I apologize, but I got to do the pregame show with Tommy. So that starts at 6 p.m. tomorrow on his channel, Mafia Sports Report. You can check us out then. Man, that's all I got. Thank y'all very much. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.